The hills and valleys of Africa carry deep within them the truths about the centuries of people who walked this land. But the earth doesn't give up her secrets easily. It takes patience and resolve to open the soil to find the treasures that lie beneath the surface. The Zulu women sing their songs and sharpen their blades as they prepare the land for investigation. The earth is ready to be peeled back, and the truths that inhabit the layers within it to be found by those who look to answer the questions. Who are we? When did we get here? How did we live? This is a story of discovery. This story begins in a classroom at the University of Natal in Durban, where Professor Jeff Guy introduces his students to the myth of South African origins. Under apartheid, the story of our history was shaped by political influences, going so far as to claim that white settlers appeared on South African soil at the same time as black Africans. This myth, used as the foundation of white power and control, is clearly presented in the textbooks of apartheid.
Look at this book. The official yearbook of the Republic of South Africa of 1974. There's a section here called The History of Black Settlement. This is what it says. Prior to their southward migration, the forebears of the present Bantu groups used to live in the region of the Great Lakes of Central Africa. Their entry into what is today South Africa roughly coincided with the arrival of the first European settlers at the Cape in 1652. This epochal influx, in many respects comparable to the migratory convulsions of the barbarians of Roman times, was the culmination of a century-old southwards movement which was primarily caused by the push and pull function of economic forces and/or tribal clashes. End of quotation. Now here we have an example of the sort of history put forward in the 1970s in an attempt to legitimate apartheid ideology. Look at this map. Africans here are called Bantu. It is asserted they did not originate in South Africa any more than Europeans did. The Europeans as part of the process of colonial settlement, and the Africans as the result of this migratory convulsion. And they all arrived at about the same time in the middle of the 17th century. By the 20th century, the yearbook continues, the nuclei of the various ethnic groups retained their traditional tribal areas. Today, these are known as the Bantu homelands, unquote. So here we have history of origins and beginnings, abused, turned into propaganda, apartheid propaganda.
The argument over the timing of origins must be settled with real evidence of when different people inhabited South Africa, and that evidence is supplied by early farmers. Farming created sedentary societies where people settled and lived in the same place for long periods, leaving behind the clues of their existence.
Thus, one of the very fundamental questions we have to answer is, when did farming come to South Africa? And of course, this means looking for the first signs of farming. The seeds of domesticated plants, the sorghums, the millets, the clay pots in which the food was carried, the stones which were used to grind the cereals, for the pits in which the grains were stored, for signs of domesticated animals, for the bones of cattle, of sheep and goats. We must also look for the distinguishing feature of South Africa's first farmers, metals. For unlike the Stone Age hunting people, the first African farmers used iron. And it is for these that we have to search if we are